Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to learn how to design the Automoblox front end seen here. Let's go ahead and get started. Come on up here and we're going to start a new design. Let's go ahead now and start a sketch on our XY plane. We're going to come up here to create and we're going to draw a rectangle that is a center rectangle. And we're going to start right here at our origin. And we're going to drag out a rectangle. Okay, and you see how it's highlighted blue? Well, I'm going to go ahead and type in those dimensions. So I want the highlighted blue dimension to be 1.53. I'm going to hit the tab button and I want the other highlighted blue dimension, the length here, to be 3.17. Hit enter. I'm going to go ahead now and finish my sketch and I'm going to extrude it out a distance of 1.7 and hit OK. Okay, now I'm going to start a sketch here on this side over here. Okay, and now I'm going to draw out a series of 3-point arcs. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hit create, grab my 3-point arc tool here. And remember, when you're drawing an arc, you always click where you want to start your arc. So I'm going to click like right here. And then your second click is going to be where you want to end your arc. So I'm going to kind of make it somewhere right up in here. And I'm just going to kind of make it look something like this. I'm going to grab my dimension tool. I want the height here to be 1 inch. And I want this distance here to be 0.25. Okay. And now I'm going to draw yet another arc, 3-point arc. And I'm just going to kind of click where we left off. I'm going to click somewhere over here, make look something like that. And I'm going to grab my dimension tool and I want this distance from here to here to be 0.18. And I want this distance from here to here, okay, to be, I'm sorry, from here to here to be 0.13. And now I'm going to grab my line tool and I'm just going to kind of extend a line out somewhere sort of in this area. And then we're going to dimension that guy, 0.18 for that distance. And then the height of this guy, we want it to be 0.03 and then hit enter. Now let's make a couple changes to our dimensions here. I'm going to go ahead and just dimension from this point to this edge to be 0.1. Enter. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to delete this dimension here, my 1 inch dimension here. Okay, and now I'm going to come on up and I'm going to grab my arc tool and we're going to make our last 3-point arc and we're going to continue where we left off. We're going to click here and then we're going to click on this top right hand corner and I'm going to sort of draw the radius to be something that looks about like that. Okay, I'm going to hit escape now and we're going to go and add this dimension from here to here. We want it to be 0.33. Okay, now we're going to add some tangent constraints because you want to smooth out this transition here. So I'm going to make this tangent to that guy, that tangent to that guy. All right, I'm going to hit escape. Now I'm going to grab my line tool because we got to close our loop. In order for us to extrude this part in here, we have to close a loop. So we're going to click here. We're going to come to this corner, click here, come on up to this corner, click here, and then come on over to our other corner and click there. All right, now we're going to go ahead and finish our sketch. And we're going to extrude out this portion right here. We're going to go the other way. And let's just select the distance of all, make sure it says cut, and hit OK. Now we're going to round out these edges just like you see on the Automoblox front end. So we're going to add some fillets here. We're going to click here, click on this edge, and this edge behind the other side here, and then this edge, and then this edge, and we're going to type that in as 0.3. So a 0.3 radius for our fillets. Okay, and we're going to hit OK. Okay, looking pretty good. Now let's turn our part around and we're gonna make this hollow portion on this side, on this face. So we're gonna create a sketch right here on this face. Okay, and I'm just gonna grab a 2-point rectangle and draw out a square, something like this here. Okay, I'm gonna hit escape. Gonna grab my sketch dimension tool, and from this edge to this edge, I want that distance to be 0.3. And this distance from this distance, same thing, 0.3. And then from this distance to this distance, 0.39 inches. And then the length of our square here, we want that distance to be 2.4. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to add now some 2D fillets. I'm going to click that corner and I want them to be 0.2 inches. Click that corner, click that corner, click that corner and hit enter. Now let's finish our sketch because we are done. And we're going to extrude this portion out a distance of 0.57 inches. Excuse me, minus 0.57 inches. And make sure it says cut, hit OK. Now let's draw these little notches on the side here. So we're going to create that feature now. So let's start a sketch on this face. And I'm going to come on over here and project some geometry. So I'm just going to click right on that fillet that we made. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to grab my 2-point rectangle tool and I want to zoom in here and I'm going to drag out a square here that is 0.06 tab button by 0.06 inches and hit enter. And that's it for this sketch. Let's finish it. We're going to extrude this distance here. We're going to go the other way, minus 0.8 inches. Make sure it says cut and hit OK. And now you notice that this feature is also on the other side, but that's okay. We can mirror that. Okay, so let's come up here to create, select mirror. Okay, and now it's asking us, hey, what feature do you want to mirror? And I want to make this feature right here. And so I select it, and then it's going to say, hey, what mirror plane do you want to use? And so I'm going to select here. I'm going to come on over here to my origin. I don't want to use this. I don't want to use my XY. I don't want to use my XZ. My YZ looks like the one I want to use. So I click on it, and notice how the feature pops up as it's mirrored across this plane, and I'm going to hit OK. And so now you have the feature on both sides. So now we want to make those hollowed out headlights sections that you see on the front end. So we're going to start a sketch here. We're going to do an offset plane from this plane. We're going to offset it the other way, a distance of minus 1.6 inches, and hit OK. And then we're going to start a sketch on here. So I'm going to just rotate it around. I'm going to click shift in my mouse wheel and move my mouse in this direction. And I'm going to start a sketch here on this face. Okay, I'm going to grab my circle tool. And somewhere over here, I'm going to make a circle. And I want those circles to be with a diameter of, let's see here, 0.2 inches. Enter. I'm going to make one more circle right next to it. I'm going to find that center point and I'm going to drag out over here so they're horizontal. And then I'm going to make another circle of 0.2 inches in diameter. And now let's add the appropriate dimensions here. So I'm going to click here. From this side, we want it to be 0.32 inches. And then between them, we want them to be, let's see here, 0.27 inches. So we're done. Let's go ahead and finish our sketch. And let's extrude them into the material. So we're going to cut a distance of 1.2 inches. Hit OK. And you're like, hey, but they're on the other side too. So once again, we want to mirror those headlights features. In fact, you know what? I see that little square right there, that little straight line. I don't like that. Let's come back, let's edit that feature, and let's just make it 1.3 and see if that gets rid of it. Hit OK. Yep, that gets rid of it. So that looks better. So now let's go ahead and mirror it. Let's come over to create, select mirror. Once again, it's going to ask you, hey, what features do you want to mirror? And I want to select that one and that one. And now what plane do you want to mirror it from? And so I'm going to hit select, and let's come over here. I believe it was the YZ. So select the YZ plane, this plane right here. Okay. And it will mirror it on this side, and then hit OK. And we're good. Okay. So you always want to look for symmetry when possible. Make your life a little easier and add some shortcuts here and there to save time. All right, so now we're going to make our axle holes right here on this face. So let's start a sketch on that face. Okay, and now we're going to create a point. We're going to make a point right, let's see here, right sort of in this area. Okay, and we're going to dimension it appropriately. We're going to grab our dimension tool, and we're going to just, from this side, we want it to be, that distance to be 0.3. And then we want it to be 0.5 inches from this side. And we're going to type in 0.5, hit enter, and now we're going to finish our sketch. Okay, and now we're going to come on up here to our hole, and we're going to click on that point. And we definitely don't want it that big. So we're going to make that hole, the depth of that hole, to be 0.29 inches. And the diameter a lot smaller. We want it to be, I'm sorry, I got it mixed up, 0.29, and we want the depth to be 0.35. And then that's it. Just go ahead and hit OK. And as you probably guessed, we need to make one on the other side. So we come over here to mirror, select on the feature, select on the plane, hit OK. And now we have them on both sides. Now, if you're a true stickler for details like I am, you may have noticed that at the bottom of the Automoblox, the front end here, there's a little notch that goes all the way through. So I'm going to make that really quick. So I'm just going to start a sketch on this face. Okay, and let's see here. I'm just going to drag out a circle, something like this. And I think I'm going to make it a little smaller. So trying to make it look as realistic as possible here. So I'm actually going to make that diameter 0.15. And then I'm going to move it over. Let's move it over 0.2, see where that brings it. That looks pretty good. And now let's dimension it vertically. Just make that 0.25, something nice and simple. All right, and now let's go ahead and finish our sketch and just extrude that guy all the way through. So we're gonna click there, and we're gonna go a distance of all, and make sure it says cut, and hit OK. And now we have that cool little feature at the bottom of our Automoblox vehicle. Okay, and like I said, I am a stickler for details. I actually think that's a little bit bigger than the actual feature. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to edit my sketch, and I'm going to just make that 0.1. And Now let's look at it. Okay, there we go. That looks more like the real thing. Okay, and as always, we want to give our part a material. I'm going to give it the same as the body, cherry wood. Hit close. Make sure you save it when you're done. Automoblox front end, and hit save. Okay, and that should do it for this part. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.